Morning, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in to our weekly live streaming service. Today, I want to start today's service doing something a little bit different. You know, in our Buddhist tradition, we do not have what's called moments of silence. However, I want to acknowledge a terrible milestone in our nation. Recently, the New York Times published a list of 100,000 names of people in the United States who have died from COVID-19 virus. So in acknowledgement of those lives lost, I'm going to ring the daikin 10 times, one bell for every 10,000 people that we have lost because of this virus. Please join me in Gasho. Namandalas, 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 namandalas. Thank you. I'd like to ask you to continue to Gasho with me as I share with you Dharma Ocean. Namu Amidavas, Namu Amidavas, Namu Amidavas, Namu Amidavas, Namu Amidavas, Namu Amidavas. Thank you. This morning's sutra chanting will begin with the Sambujo on page 23 of the large purple service book, followed by the Jusei on page 91. Namandalas, 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 namandalas. Thank you. I'd like to ask you all now to join me in the Gatha Namo Amida Butsu on page 174. Thank you. If you'll please turn to page 10 and join me in the reading of the Threefold Refuge. Difficult is it to receive a human form, now we're living it. Difficult is it to hear the Dharma of the Buddha? Now we hear it. If we do not cross over to the truth in the present life, in what life shall we cross over? Let us with sincerity and true reverence take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in the Buddha. May we together with all sentient beings awaken to the great way of enlightenment and to the unsurpassed intent of Amida Buddha. I take refuge in the Dharma. May we together with all sentient beings enter the storehouse of the Dharma, becoming like the wisdom ocean. I take refuge in the Sangha. May we together with all sentient beings become units in true accord, in harmony with all things. The peerless, profound, and wondrous Dharma is rare to encounter, even in many hundreds and thousands of kalpas. Now we are privileged to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you. Once again, good morning, everyone. Today, I had actually a very difficult time pondering what I wanted to talk about today. I was actually having a difficult time sleeping last night. And today I feel not only tired, but I feel very, very sad. I'm sad and I'm tired when I hear or see a black man, George Floyd, who was killed at the hands of the police. I'm sad and I'm tired to see the rioting that's occurring in the streets of our cities across the United States. And I hope that we remember that we have the right and we have the privilege to be able to oppose policy and to demonstrate. At the same time, we have to remember the words of Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Robert Kennedy Jr., and others, who said that we must protest peacefully, non-violently, and not destroy the property of others, but to make our voices heard in unison, peacefully. And to the police, I would like to say that they should practice patience. They should practice restraint. They should act professionally. The things that I see on the news yesterday and the day before are divisions between us. And these divisions are only created by what we do. Only a few days ago, we were saying to each other, we're all in this together. And I don't know what happened to that, but suddenly there is this great division that we're all suffering, that we're all hurting, and that we're all sharing in this together. I'm sad and I'm tired that we have forgotten that there are no sides here. There's no good guys, there's no bad guys. What is happening here is only confusion, sadness, anger, and ignorance. And what truly worries me, and makes me sad, and makes me tired, and brings tears to my eyes, is that thousands and millions of young people, children, are watching this unfold on our TV sets. And they are wondering, what is going on? How do you explain this to them? And I feel sad and I'm so tired that parents have to struggle to try to explain to their children what is happening here on their TV sets. As sad and as tired as I am of all of these events, I'm also hopeful that we will feel the embrace of Amida Buddha at times like this. That we're all sharing in the sadness and the tiredness of these events. You know, in Buddhism, we don't have commandments. There are no rules that tell you you should do this or you shouldn't do that. So as Buddhists, how do we respond to the events that are occurring around us? Well, I believe that there is an assurance found in the Buddha Dharma. If we can awaken to the true reality of life, we can live spiritually free and in a real way feel grateful to Amida Buddha, feel grateful for our life, and an understanding of everyone's individual paths that they must take. Then we can become free of judgment, free of reactionary thoughts, words, and actions. We then understand that it is not about my egocentric me, but it is about the great wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha that embraces all beings. Every morning, I get up and I chant the Shoshinge, the hymn of true faith. In the very beginning, it says, I rely upon the immeasurable life. I take refuge in the inconceivable light. To encounter the Buddha Dharma is to let us know that I am being called, that I am being embraced. Amida wishes to remove the roots of affliction, of birth and death, all the suffering of humankind he wants to remove. And that affliction is part of life itself. And the struggles to understand the sadness and the tiredness we feel as the events unfold around us. The truth is that our journey of life is traveled with suffering, with confusion, with sadness, with anger, with ignorance. The roots of these afflictions are ignorance. We cannot see things clearly, and so we suffer. We cry, and we feel sadness because of our lack of understanding. Amida Buddha does not abandon us in these moments, but like the loving parent that embraces a child and reassures the child and says, everything will be all right. Amidst my sadness, amidst my anger, no other recourse do I have but to rely on the immeasurable light and take refuge in the inconceivable light. So if you're like me, and you're tired and you're sad about the events that are occurring around us, this is the time to lend our ears to the Buddha Dharma and know that we are embraced by Amida Buddha, even in our confusion, even in our sadness and our anger. This is the true life and light of Amida Buddha that shines upon us always. Thank you. Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Namo Amida Buddha. Shonin Nichiryu no Gokanke no Onomuki wa Shinji no Motte Honto Sare Soro Sono Yue wa Moro Moro no Zogyo Nagestete Ishin ni Midani Kyo Sreba Kagashigi no Gandiki Toshite Yarai waga Ojo Sadame Tamaishi Onhojin no Nenbuto Kokoro Pekitnari Anakashiko Anakashiko. Shinran Shonin taught that the essence of Jodo Shinshu is Shinjin. The reason is that by abandoning all other practices and completely entrusting ourselves in Amida Buddha, our spiritual rebirth is assured by Amida through the inconceivable power of the primal vow. This is known as entering the ranks of the truly assured at the very moment of Shinjin. Thereafter, all utterances of the Nembutsu should be understood only as expressions of gratitude for Amida's assurance of our spiritual rebirth. With reverence, I remain. Nam Mandavas, Nam Mandavas, Nam Mandavas. Thank you. If you please all join me in the Gatha Ondoksan 2. You'll find it on page 220 of the large purple service book. Om very much. And before we close, I'd like to just make a couple of, one announcement really. As we move into the month of June, we'll continue with our weekly live streaming services. Next week, June 7th, we'll be broadcasting from Watsonville, and we'll observe Watsonville's June Shotsuki Hoyo. That'll be 10 o'clock next Sunday. Please join me in Gasho for a closing reading. May I be a medicine for the sick and weary, nursing them until their afflictions are gone forever. I would be a protector of the helpless, a guide for travelers and their means for crossing a stream, a lamp for those who need a lamp, a bed for those who need a bed, a slave for those who need a slave. May all find happiness through my actions, and let no one suffer because of me. Whether they love or hate me, may those feelings be the source of their fulfillment. Those who mock, accuse, or wrong me, may they all attain enlightenment. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you very much for listening in this morning. I want to thank all of you, and I'd like to acknowledge Perry and Kim and Jane for their assistance in today's service. This will conclude our Sunday service today. Thank you very much.